What's up, family? So I wanted to have a conversation with you guys, as you guys see, as we about to see in a minute, in the clip of Terrence Howard, basically at the PBD podcast, in regards of talking about how Diddy, or Puff Diddy, or Sean Combs, however you want to call it, was trying to basically um, get on to him in a sexual way. Now, Terrence Howard has basically had a lot of outlandish um, things being said for people that like to form together to try to make him sound crazy, or make him turn out to be crazy, which I don't believe he's really crazy. I believe he's very, very intelligent, and he know how to articulate himself very effectively and communicate effectively his point, substantiate his argument. And the last time that I have listened to Terrence Howard, it was basically about his beliefs that a lot of people seem to see as outlandish for quite some time, because he previously stated, as he previously stated not too long ago, him studying engineer, or he studied engineering at Pratt University, but dropped out of the institution after getting into an argument with a professor about what one times one equal, right? And he's basically saying, from his beliefs, if one times one equals one, that means two has no value, because one times itself has no effect. And he said at the time, arguing with the professor, that one times one equal two, because the square root of four is two. So what's the square root of two? It should be one, but we're told it's two, and that cannot be. So that's Terrence Howard's basically belief from a simple perspective, just to break it down to you guys. But let's get into what he had to say about Puff Diddy, or Puffy, basically getting on to him sexually. Oh, sorry, family.
There's a short life in
Why,
the
why do you
acting
think that
world.
is? What the creative side is?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far. Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what Heath had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card,
What is that? What do you mean by that?
you give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Now I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people.
Now, this is what prefaced the conversation I want to have you with you guys, and let me know you guys' thoughts down in the comments below. And it's interesting because I totally agree with him, right? If you have to give up something and compromise yourself, and compromise, what I mean in full context, is destroy. Compromising, what I look at it is mean destroying. So if you're destroying yourself by giving up something of who you really are and your true identity, your moral compass of what you stand for, you can never fully entirely be back yourself in full effect, right? For instance, I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, with the whole Department of Education and pushing on the alphabet community on kids. Now, kids are pure. They're the purest things of purity in its purest form. Kids gonna tell her how it is, and they see things for not how we see things, when which we've been influenced by. They just see a person for a person. They don't see black and white. They see a person for a person. So why they don't see a person as gay or straight? They just embrace people for who they are and their uniqueness, right? Their character, right? But all these things being indoctrinated as we go along the education system, kids are being pushed with straight and gay books, right? To embrace gayness and consider it as normal. right? And it's a pure kid that you're taking and basically indoctrinating them to have all these type of miscrewed beliefs when they were so pure and just embracing people for who they are. Why do such a thing? So the simple fact is, every time they compromise themselves to get a good grade, for example, to have to read this book about looking at someone a certain way, looking at someone gay, or looking at sexuality a certain way that's being indoctrinated and pushed onto them as a part of a culture and influence, they cannot fully be that pure kid that they once were, because now their mind is being influenced by the very things that's being pushed onto them. And it's so confusing to me, family, how such a purest kid you can take that just look at things purely and look at people purely and uniquely and embrace all, right? The intentional confusion where if these people that are sexually looked at a certain way, like the alphabet community, then it's like it's considered normal. Now, we don't care what you do in your bedroom, that's your own thing. But these scream devious sexual influences on a child, back to my example, the child has been compromised to the point where their perspective on how they view people now has been twisted. They cannot fully get back how they seen people when they were in this purest form as they once did. I totally agree with Terrence Howard. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's continue.
That did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. There was never going to, that was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some over greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So
I
I
agree.
believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there, because they get fluid, and next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card.
So basically, he's saying these people compromise themselves for a certain success. Like he mentioned Justin Bieber, the artist, and individuals that went to these Diddy parties basically gave, rather they tried to distract themselves to not make it seem as bad is bad, because now in their mind is so twisted that they can't undo the very thing that they did, which made them look at things in a certain perspective. And now to the point where they don't have a foundation to stand on, because there's no stability in their mind of thinking, because they have been so twisted by this influence that they have compromised themselves to engage in this type of devious sexual activity that was going on at these Puff Daddy parties, man. When you compromise yourself for success, you basically have to fill a void. So if you do these sexual devious acts like Sean Combs may have done, Diddy may have done, to be at a certain side, be at a certain success. Now it's a constant system that he has to feed. It's a constant void. So, for example, if Diddy has been engaged in this, has been the person that, for example, because I don't know this is just my opinion for sake of conversation. Let me know you guys' thoughts down in the comments below. If Diddy had to give up his man card to be masculine and being a man without having sexual activity with another man, if Diddy had to do that to be successful, then it's constantly a void that he has to feel to not to distract himself from not thinking of the very thing that he just did to basically destroy himself. So he did that at a cost of success. He destroyed himself at the cost of success. So what I ask you guys, and that's why I agree with Terrence Howard, you never give up your man card. So the question is, at what cost do you give up what you morally stand for and standing for something just to be successful? Or you get it out the mud and be authentically who you are, being rooted and grounded in the very thing that you stand for, where then you have a foundation, as even though you navigate through this success, you still can walk in faith, walk in strength and courage and confidence because you didn't compromise yourself through the process. So Diddy had to give himself up possibly to then create a system where he then influenced others to compromise and destroy themselves, because hurt people hurt people. The conversation goes so deep, man. Comment down below. Do you believe hurt people, family? I believe it, because Diddy, obviously, for him to have this type of mindset, twisted mindset, he had to have gone through it to then influence others to compromise themselves for success. And even though they reach success, they can't fully embrace it because now they're so twisted that they have a void that they're still battling with, that they're trying to distract themselves with. But there's no material, there's no amount of success that can bring them back to their true form as they were pure before they became successful in the industry, music industry, acting industry, Hollywood, whatever the case may be. Let's continue.
You need therapy.
More than
And
therapy.
that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started
nothing.
with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. Mm-hmm. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit, because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast. This is absolute. But listen, we've talked about it. We've had a lot of the guys on to talk about this stuff. Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the Chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe. I've proven what I've set out to do, and that's why I have all the patents. Whether they evaluate it or not, that's up to them. But I've done the work and finished it. Now I can go on and do whatever else we need to do. Hi, everyone.
See, that's what it is. See, when you're operating at your true core, you always have direction. And even if you navigating through success and being successful, and then you move on to another thing, you still have your core foundation as a person, which you stand for. Which then, if you stand for something, you won't fall for anything that come your way. Because even at the detriment of yourself, even at the temptation of something being at the detriment of yourself, you won't destroy yourself in the process. But let me know what you guys think, family. There was a deep conversation. I really enjoyed it, man. Mind blowing. Peace.